we coming in clear? Are we coming in clear? Welcome to episode 272 of Cocktails in the War Room. I am your host, Mistress Carrie. Welcome to the War Room. If you are not familiar, allow me and the official War Room family, as they have dubbed themselves, to welcome you to Cocktails in the War Room. 272 episodes after it started back on March 14th of 2020. We rode out the pandemic together 80 nights in a row before launching the Mistress Carrie podcast and turning Cocktails in the War Room into a weekly show that streams live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and most recently live on the official Mistress Carrie Twitch account. So if you're watching on YouTube like Marcy is, or on Facebook like Mark is, maybe you're Travis checking in from Instagram. However it is that you're watching, let me know in the comments that you're watching, and make sure that you let me know if this is your first visit to the War Room and where you're watching from, so the War Room family can welcome you officially. Every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern, we get together to talk about our week, to talk about music, concerts, current events, sports. I fill you in on what's going on with the Mistress Carrie podcast, what's new in the online Mistress Carrie store, all of the shenanigans that I have gotten myself into. And a lot of people will do the Reddit kind of AMAs or the Twitter lives or whatever, saying, hey, for the next 20 minutes, I'm not doing anything. Ask me whatever you want. Well, that's exactly what Cocktails in the War Room is. Every Tuesday night at 8:30, you can come in here, jump into the comments, and ask me whatever you want to know. I can tell you old stories about the radio. I can tell you stories about my trips overseas, charity work, news, just whatever you guys want to talk about. This show is yours. And we do it every Tuesday night at 8:30. And we've been expanding slowly. We started on Facebook. Then we branched out to YouTube. Then we branched out to Instagram. And most recently, in the last couple of weeks, we branched out to Twitch. I have a feeling maybe Twitter Live might be in our future as well. Dina is checking in on YouTube. Jessica's here on Facebook. Let's see. Missing the Fry Daddy, says WEC7594. If you're on Instagram, I see your Instagram handle, not your name, your profile name, like I do on Facebook. Kevin joining us here on Facebook, as is Lisa and Elsa. Eric and Donna are joining us here in the War Room as well. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of stuff has been going on. And if you're new to the War Room, you may not know her, but she is now officially 6 years old. I'm talking about Wednesday. Are you going to come over here? My co-host Wednesday, who last week was on the cusp of turning 6, but now Wednesday the Goth Pug, as she is known by her over 1,000 followers on Instagram. She officially hit 1,000 followers, didn't you, Wednesday? Are you gonna? Yeah, let's get you in your camera a little better. There you are. She officially hit 1,000 followers on Instagram in the last couple of weeks, but on April 11th, she turned 6 years old. So thank you to everybody that wished her a happy birthday over the last week. For anybody that doesn't know Wednesday, she's been riding out the last 4 years right here with us. We turn the pug cam on every week to give you some pug cuteness. And also, I spoil her with cookies to get her to do tricks. Can I have your paw? Thank you. Other paw? No, I want the other one. Thank you. Down. And once the treats are gone, usually she takes off until the mail call to see if anybody sent her anything in the mail. No, you have to come over here. Sit. High five. High five. No, high five. Up. There you go. Very good. Elsa says, wow, Wednesday, way to go. Fear of Water says, loving the pug cam on Instagram. Now, I do want to apologize to anybody that's new watching on Instagram, because the aspect ratio of your show is a little bit different from everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. They're seeing a little bit more of a wide screen, which means they get more graphics. And so I have to be careful about how I angle the cameras and how I switch the cameras for the people on Instagram because we could be talking about something that they just don't get to see. Jonathan says, yo, and stuff. Rachel says, happy unbirthday, Keith. Rachel, don't jump ahead in the show. Bish says, hey, Carrie, bummed. I just missed seeing you on Saturday on Boylston Street after the BAA 5K. So first of all, congratulations to Bish finishing the BAA 5K. For anybody that is not in the New England area, you may or may not be aware that the 128th running of the Boston Marathon happened yesterday. And there's a lot of festivities that happen marathon weekend. If you've never experienced it as a runner, Wednesday, I need to put both of our cameras on, if that's okay. Do you mind sharing? If you've never experienced the marathon as a runner, and if you haven't been around someone really close to you that's run, the Heinz Convention Center is the Marathon Expo, which is all of the shopping where you can get all of the official gear. It's also where the runners have to go to pick up their bibs. And bib pickup starts on Friday, goes all the way through the weekend. This weekend's weather was unbelievable. Boston was so packed. The expo was jammed. Every year I have friends come from out of town that stay at my house and run the marathon. So I always end up at the expo because they need to go and pick up their bibs. And we always end up walking around, taking the obligatory Hereford and Boylston corner photo. We always go down to the finish line. We're walking around. We always try to go out for lunch, do some Boston sightseeing. Most of the time, the friends that are in from out of town are in from out of state. And so they come to stay at the house to get ready for the race. And so there's always a little bit of the Mistress Carrie tour of Boston that happens, a little sightseeing, all of the sites and historic stuff. And one of the friends that was in town for the marathon, congratulations to John Connolly from Seven Dust, who last year was challenged to run the Boston Marathon by his best friend, Mark Tremonti from Creed, Alter Bridge, and Tremonti. And he runs for the NDSS, which is the National Down Syndrome Society. So last year, John Connolly ran as a charity runner and he raised money. He ran so fast last year that he qualified for the marathon this year. So he came back to the marathon this year. Last year, it was pouring when he crossed the finish line. It was cold. It was raining. We got a chance to say hi really quick. He was wrapped in the aluminum foil blanket. We took a quick photo. I hung out at the finish line with his wife because my friend's wife was waiting for me, was waiting at the finish line as well. So we were all kind of huddled together. Well, this year, all of my friends were running. John Connolly was back as a qualified runner this year. And because Seven Dust is getting ready to go out on the Summer of 99 Creed cruise, John Connolly, like a beast, flew into Boston on Sunday, picked up his bib at the Heinz Convention Center at the Expo, and then got up Monday morning, got on the buses, rode out to Hopkinton, and shaved 3 full minutes off of his marathon time, which I believe is going to qualify him for the Boston Marathon next year. Yesterday also, just by chance, happened to be the 27th anniversary of the release of the debut Seven Dust record, which is just insane. So I was down at the finish line with a bunch of friends and made a banner for John. He was coming across first because he was a qualifier, not a charity runner. So he started in the first wave. So he crossed earlier than everybody, not only because he was running faster, but because he started earlier. He went, lay down for a while, stretched out his legs. And then once all of my other friends crossed the finish line, he was like, where are we eating? So here's John and I at the end of the night with the Prue in the background, his Mike's pastry box with the lobster tail that I bought him as a reward for running the marathon. We went out for dinner in the North End. We had a great time. We talked about a lot of old times and talked about the fact that it was Seven Dust's 27th anniversary and how much different our friendship is now from when it started, back when the band was known as like 24/7 Dust and all of their early partying ways. And now here he is, an elite athlete that's finished 4 marathons, qualified for Boston 3 separate times, and will probably be back next year. And just so you guys know, John flew out of Boston today to fly to Florida to get on the cruise to perform with Sevendust and Creed on their 4-day Summer of 99 cruise. Insane, full on beast mode. If you are really interested, I know Bish is a runner. If you are a very serious runner, John Connolly has a Facebook page, his Instagram, and he is very serious. If you want to get full on nerdy about sodium intake and race pacing and gel, like food and like just full on racing nerd talk, if that is what you are into, go to John Connolly's Facebook page. He put up a pre-race video analyzing what he wanted his race strategy to be. And then he put up a video today before he got on the plane at Logan, analyzing the race when he had a chance to kind of rest up and sleep on it. He's so good at running that he was not pleased with himself. Last year, he ran the second half of the marathon faster than the first half, which is called negative splitting a race. This year, he didn't negative split, which is so hard, near impossible to do. And he didn't do it. The heat was just crazy. It was a beautiful day for the spectators. But he still trimmed a bunch of time off of his marathon finish, and he's probably going to qualify for next year. We talked a lot about his love of Boston and the band's love of Boston. And last year, it was cold and windy. And when I saw Sevendust a couple of months ago at the Palladium, they were on the Machine Killer tour with Static X. I talked to John a little bit before the show, and I was like, look, I know you're coming back for the marathon. I just want you to have that sunny, warm weather for the spectators, full on Boston crowd experience where the streets are just mobbed with people and people are screaming everywhere. Like, I just want you to have that Boston experience. Are you talking to me, Wednesday? Are you going to interrupt the show more, or are you done? Back up a little bit. Down. And yesterday was exactly that. Like, the weather was perfect. The crowds were loud, and John had an amazing race. And he was like, there's nothing like Boston. He's like, I understand now why people who say I'll never run another marathon unless it's Boston, or I'll never run a marathon unless it's Boston. Have your paw? Thank you. He's done it twice now, and he's probably going to come back for a third one because he is, at this point, full-blown addicted. Somebody said, I never knew that 24/7 Dust. That's not what the band was named, by the way. That's what we used to call them because they partied 24/7. So we used to call them 24/7 Dust. And, obviously now John's an elite runner. Clint is a runner. Like, all of those guys are in unbelievable shape and just living obviously very different lives from the early days of Sevendust. Bish says, I do 6 miles a day and 2 hours at the gym after. That's the way to do it, dude. Diva says, hi, Wednesday. Eric says, we was at Fenway Park last year. My former boss, Dave Ross, says he's part of the 2013 team. And it was rainy and shitty and cold as fuck. Eric, I think you were just trying to make me swear just then. Let me see. Maybe I'm just horrible with remembering. No, that's what we used to call them. Just 24/7 Dust, because that's how they used to be. Wednesday, hello, you cute little cuddly couch potato, says Michelle. Can you be a good girl? I don't have any more cookies for you. All right, maybe I have one more. I'll put your camera on for you again, but you have to be good, okay? Can you just be a good girl? I've also had a house full of people the last week, so Wednesday has been getting a lot of extra walks, a lot of extra treats, and a lot of extra attention. And when you have a house full of people that are running the marathon, she got a lot of extra naps over the last week as well. Jessica wants to know, my mom is doing well. Thank you very much. No change, but she's well taken care for, and she's doing okay. Did anybody mention Chara? He ran Boston again this year and is off to London for a marathon this weekend. So David Parker's asking about Zdeno Chara. I saw him cross the finish line super strong in 3 hours and 30 minutes. You can't miss Big Z. He's huge. He stands literally over the entire marathon field. I saw him run last year as well. Super strong finish. And there were a lot of people. So there are elite marathons. There are 6. There's Tokyo, there's London, there's Berlin, and then there's Chicago, New York, and Boston. Those are the big 6. And London is this coming weekend. So there are a lot of people that run Boston and then fly to England to run the London Marathon this weekend, which is just insane. Debbie Gagnon says, I was at Godsmack versus Seven Dust, the softball game back in 98 or 99. That, by the way, is the first charity event I ever put together. It was the Seven Dust Dirty Birds versus the Godsmack Chowderheads. And it was a celebrity softball game where we had very hot dancing girls were the baseline coaches. There was a couch behind second base where people could go and lounge and have a beer during the game. It was ridiculous. But it was at LeLacheur Park, home of the Lowell Spinners in Lowell. That was a great day. I still have my jersey from that game, by the way. That was really fun. There is a video of that game on YouTube. There is... Oh my God. Shinedown Devil says, definitely miss you and WAF. Well, you don't have to miss me. I'm here every Tuesday night live. I'm on the radio every afternoon. You can listen to the Mistress Carrie podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. I have not gone anywhere. Tracy says, Big Z. Eric says, Wednesday is like Will Ferrell in Wedding Crashers screaming, Mom, the meatloaf. Fuck. Yes, the meatloaf. I know, Wednesday. You want the meatloaf. I know. I get it. Tracy says he's only 6'9", talking about Big Z. Yeah, only. Trust me, he towers over everyone running the marathon. I did see some epic costumes. Since the bombing, the rules about the costumes have changed a little bit. You cannot run with your face covered. But I saw someone running with a giant giraffe head yesterday. I saw a lot of people in superhero capes and tutus. I also saw somebody dressed as George Washington, powdered wig, wool costume, like the whole thing, which was great. But for a lot of the runners, I saw a lot of rubber-legged runners. There were a lot of those heartbreaking yet heartwarming videos and pictures of runners that are dehydrated with their legs just wobbly, being helped across the finish line by fellow runners. And a lot of people that don't go to the marathon every year aren't aware that if a runner falls down in the course and is helped by anyone but other runners, they get disqualified. So that's why the first responders that are along the route, why they don't immediately run to their aid, because there's always people going, go and help them. But if they get helped to the finish line by anyone but other runners, their finish time doesn't count. So when you see other runners helping a runner across the finish line, that is to help them cross, to help them finish, to get their medal, which is all you can think about. I ran 5 years ago in 2019, and all you're thinking about is just getting across. And I remember making the turn from Hereford onto Boylston and thinking I could crawl the rest of the way, but I'm going to get there. And for people that live out in New England that don't understand why the marathon is such a big deal, Marathon Monday is just a day you kind of need to experience. And I'm not even talking about as a runner, but just the city comes alive. I was joking with my friends from out of state, Beth and Shane, and I was telling them that, this is like the only weekend where Boston is like really happy there are tourists in town, because everybody just walks around and is like, welcome to Boston, good luck. And then when we see people wearing their new marathon jackets and their medals, it's like, congratulations. I spent so much time at the marathon yesterday. I love it when I see someone running and then they have a whole group of people in matching t-shirts as like a cheering section for them. And down by the finish line, as runners were coming across, they were trying to get group photos with all of their friends and family. And so I all of a sudden just started like, I'll take that picture for you. I'll take that picture for you. And it's just such a great day in the city. So if you are outside of New England, or even if you're in New England and you've never gone to the marathon, try to go, because it's one of my favorite days of the year. It's an absolute blast. I ran it once, did the Tough Ruck 4 times. Want to congratulate my friend Tree and so many of the other, my friend Paul Brady from the Afghanistan trip, who finished the Tough Ruck over the weekend. So on Saturday, there was the Tough Ruck. On Sunday, there was the BAA 5K. And then, of course, Marathon Monday. So there's a lot of congratulations to go around. People doing some pretty amazing stuff this weekend. And so much money got raised for charity, which is the other thing that I want to tell you guys about. So something that just got published today, if you go to my blog at mistresscarrie.com, I want to thank Kim Kerrigan, who you will recognize as being a longtime news reporter here in Boston. About a month ago, she reached out to me and was like, I would love for you to come on my show, Kerrigan and Company. I want to talk to you about, your podcast and the War Room, all the charity work you do. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I went into Boston this morning, went to the Kerrigan and Company studios, sat down with Kim Kerrigan. I met someone that I did not expect to meet. Jeff Kinney, right here, is the author of the Diary of the Wimpy Kid books, which, by the way, he's from Massachusetts. He was also on this week's episode of Kerrigan and Company. So I got to meet him. So many little kids have grown up reading those books. And then I also had, you guys will recognize him, retired Brigadier General Jack Hammond, who is the executive director of the Home Base Program. He was also the commanding general during my trip to Afghanistan in 2011. And when Kim Kerrigan asked me to be on the show, she was like, I want you to co-host this episode. And if you have any guests that you want to bring on, let me know. And it just so happens that in this picture, you will see me with General Hammond. And that's my friend Beth with the marathon medal. She ran for Team Home Base this year, who I ran the marathon for 5 years ago. And so she came with me to the taping today and got to hear exactly where all of the donations. I want to congratulate the entire Home Base Marathon team. They raised $250,000 running the marathon yesterday, which is unbelievable. There are so many elite athletes that are going for personal records. They're trying to qualify for next year. They're trying to win prize money. But for the lion's share of the people running, they want to see if they can do it, and they want to raise money for charity. And so on this week's episode of Kerrigan and Company, which is live right now, the link to the video of the show is up in my blog at mistresscarrie.com, but you can listen to the podcast anywhere you get your podcast. We talked about my trip to Afghanistan, and we talked about what Home Base does. So if you're curious about the Home Base program and you're curious about the programs that they offer, the funding for it, why there is such a need for treatment for the invisible wounds of war, post-traumatic stress, and traumatic brain injury, and veterans and their family members being treated there, there's a lot of great informative stuff. And also Kim wanted to add a little rock. It's episode 13 of her show. And so she wanted to do a little lucky 13 and have me on the show. She said, when I started reaching out to people to have them on the show, she said, your name kept coming up over and over. And I was like, Kim Kerrigan, the news reporter, what circles are you hanging out in where people are telling you that I need to be on your show? But I was on, and she was great, and it was so much fun. So the episode is now live. You can, like I said, listen to Kerrigan and Company anywhere you get your podcast. And if you want to watch the episode, go to my blog at mistresscarrie.com. And I'll be sharing it on all of my socials and stuff after the show. It just went live a little while ago. So you guys are talking about the Sully Erna documentary. Yes, I saw it. I know it premiered over the weekend on the West Coast, but Sully told me that it was out, a few months ago. And I play a small part in it, but I was honored to be asked to be part of it. So if you haven't seen it yet, Brett says he has a great bookstore in Plainville. Brett, he actually talked about the bookstore in the episode today, talking about author Jeff Kinney right here. And he talked about a lot of the revitalization efforts that he is spearheading in Plainville with this 5-year plan of a bunch of new restaurants and social spaces. So he's doing a lot of amazing work in Plainville, but he did talk about his bookstore and all of the unbelievable artists that go to the bookstore in Plainfield. So, in Plainville, I mean, and it was really cool to meet him. I was like, oh my God, my bonus son used to read these books when he was a kid. Can I get my picture with you? And I texted it to him right away. So, let's see. Bish says, even though I didn't run the marathon, I donated $1,000 to Dana-Farber. See, that's badass. That's what it's all about. The marathon is amazing for stuff like that. Pixie Chick 13 says, aloha, Carrie. What's going on? Watching on Instagram. Seen it and you in it a few weeks ago, says Pixie Chick. Thank you very much. I've been used, but that's a different story, says Jonathan. Melissa says, you were a good egg, Mark. Yes, you absolutely are. Betty says, what's up, peeps? Tuning in late tonight? No problem. So those are 2 new things that I wanted to make sure you checked out was the pictures. I put up a bunch of other stuff on my official Facebook page and on Instagram from my shenanigans at the marathon yesterday. And obviously a huge thank you to Kim Kerrigan for having me on her show, Kerrigan and Company, which is out now. So pretty cool. Want to remind you guys about some events that are coming up. We're just a couple of weeks away from Big Gig 3 at the DCU Center in Worcester. That's April 27th with Stain, Seether, Asking Alexandria, and Tim Montana. Tickets may still be available at the DCU Center box office, or just click the link on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. The official after party is happening at Off the Rails with Papercut, the Lincoln Park Tribute. These are separate tickets to get into the after party, but all the details are up in the event calendar. And then the annual Pike Hair Fest, which is happening July 28th at Indian Ranch in Webster. It's an absolute blast. It's a daytime show. 5 of the biggest tribute bands around, an Alice Cooper tribute. There's a Bon Jovi and an AC/DC tribute. There is Leopard, the Def Leppard tribute is headlining this year. So it's going to be fun. Mike Shue, Chuck Perks, and I from 100 FM The Pike are all going to be at the Hair Fest. And if you were not aware, if you're new to the show on Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you can hear me every weekday afternoon on 100 FM The Pike in Worcester. You can listen online at pikefm.com, and you can also download the Pike app, and you can listen that way. And that, if you like your music a little more on the classic side, if you like it a little bit harder, then you can listen to my show every weekday afternoon on 106.3 The Bone, which is up in Portland, Maine. You can go to 1063rocks.com or 1063thebone.com, either way, or you can download the Bone app. You can listen that way. Live from the Cross Insurance Arena, the tailgate tour is going to be live on Tuesday night, April 30th. So I want to remind you guys here in the War Room, there will be no War Room on April 30th. I'm going to be broadcasting live from backstage at the tailgate tour up in Portland, Maine. So I will not have a chance to get back to do the War Room. Not only that, but I'm going to watch the show. I'll be doing the Mistress Carrie backstage tailgate. And if you want to try and win your way onto the side of the stage to watch Stained up in Portland, Maine, you can go to 1063thebone.com and you can enter for that. It has been so warm over the last couple of days that I wanted to do something a little more fruity and tropical for the cocktail this week. If you're new to the War Room, every week we dive into some of the cocktail books that I have here in the War Room and try to up your mixology game a little bit. So today I thought this would be delicious because it's been so warm outside. The Tijuana Taxi is an ounce of gold tequila, a half an ounce of blue curacao, and a half an ounce of tropical fruit schnapps. I'm thinking peach schnapps would probably be delicious. It says pour the tequila, the curacao, and the schnapps into an ice-filled highball glass. Fill with soda, stir, and serve. And of course, you could use a flavored seltzer, soda water. My suggestion is to garnish around whatever fruit schnapps you're going to use. So if you're going to use peach schnapps, I would put a peach wedge in there. We're always looking for food in our drinks to garnish with something. So if you were going to do like a pineapple schnapps, I would put pineapple chunks in there. Whatever it is that you're going to do that might be a little bit fruity, you could do mango. There are so many different flavored schnapps. I think that would work with a flavored vodka as well. So Melissa says the bone is harder. That's what she said. It never gets old. Boner right here. Carrie, we have a new rock fan. I got my current boss's kid, Ledger, into the band Ra. He's 6 and he loves the song Do You Call My Name? Eric, love that. Isn't Saint Asonia going on the road as well? So the big gig is Stained Seether, Asking Alexandria, and Tim Montana. But the tailgate tour is Stained, Seether, Saint Asonia, and Tim Montana. So it's different lineups in Worcester, Massachusetts versus Portland, Maine. So yes, Saint Asonia is going to be on the Portland show, but not on the Worcester show because I think they had another date that night somewhere else. Jessica says that drink sounds delicious and trouble in a glass. I think that's why they call it a Tijuana Taxi. Frozen fruit balls. Donna, like frozen melon balls or something. I think a melon liqueur would be delicious in there. 100%. I think that would be great. And I think also it's telling you to pour it into an ice-filled highball glass. Now that we're getting into the warmer weather, we've talked about this over the last few years here in the War Room, trying to up the mixology game. We're always looking to add some kind of accoutrement to the drink, but also some kind of flavored rim. So you can give your drink a rim job. Go ahead. Beavis and Butthead. Go ahead. And I think also to do a little bit of that artisan ice too, to make mint ice cubes, to do fruit, like sorbet ice cubes or some kind of puree or daiquiri kinds of things. You could do berries in ice cubes or like a little mint leaf and a raspberry and get a little fancy as fuck with your ice. But if we're trying to elevate our drinking skills a little bit, you've always got to go for good glasses. You've got to go for, decorative rim. You've got to go for some kind of accessory, right? A sword, an umbrella, a cool straw, really good ice. Like, let's go up a notch. Debbie says, no radio station can replace WAF. Thank goodness for the Bone. It's the only heavy station in New Hampshire. Well, yes, there's 2 Bones. There's a Bone in New Hampshire. I'm on the Bone in Portland, Maine, but they're owned by the same company. So, Bish says, Keith just fainted. She said, rim job. Oh, and Tracy says, don't forget to go goat with the crushed ice. Yeah, crushed ice is goat. However, you could do flavored, like fruit puree ice cubes and then smash them and crush them yourself. You could always do that too. Let's see. Good thing I am not wearing pants, says Keith. Did you see Saturday Night Live talk about AI that was centered around Beavis and Butthead? So over the weekend, Saturday Night Live probably had its funniest episode in years. Ryan Gosling hosted, and one of the skits that everybody is talking about, there was a country music skit that actually starred Chris Stapleton because he was the musical guest. And the Beavis and Butthead skit where Ryan Gosling was Beavis. If you haven't seen these skits, you've got to watch them on YouTube. There's a reason why Saturday Night Live has been trending the last couple days, because the episode was hilarious. I can't even tell you how many times people tagged me in posts about Beavis and Butthead, how many times people sent it to me on Facebook, on my text message. It's really, really, that skit is really, really funny. Let's see, 100.1. My two favorite DJs, Mike Shue and You Just Saying. Thanks, Diva. Yes, because Mike Shue does mornings, if you are not aware. Rachel says, oh my God, it was hilarious. Ralph says, a giant fruit cup in a 5-gallon water cooler with vodka. Drink the vodka and then eat the fruit. Yeah, the fruit, eating the fruit after it's been soaking in vodka, it's like eating the worm out of the tequila. You don't remember after that. Marcy says, love Mike Shue. Wait, SNL is worth watching again. Voorhees, this week's episode was really, really funny. It was really, really funny. Ryan Gosling did a great job with his monologue. Emily Blunt came out. There were a lot of cameo appearances. The Kidnapped by Aliens episode, that skit was really good. There was a lot of really funny stuff. The fruit is always dangerous, says Tracy. Let's see. Keith says they did break character. It almost makes me laugh harder when they can't even keep themselves from laughing, because that's how funny the skit was. So yeah, it was really, really good. All right, I want to talk to you guys about this week's podcast episode. By the way, she's back. She's not begging for the treats anymore. She's just kind of sitting. Right, Wednesday? I'm going to say hi to everyone. Thank everybody on Twitch that started watching Cocktails in the War Room. Say hi to everyone on Instagram. Tell them to follow you on Instagram at Wednesday the Goth Pug. Say what's up to the OG War Room family. You're being a very good girl. Yeah, you're being very good. You're just being very snuggly, right? Are you being a good girl now that you're 6 years old? You're such a big girl now. I was looking at pictures because they showed up on my timeline. They do every year around the marathon. And the year that I ran the marathon, Wednesday had just turned 1. And she was still so small. And I put my marathon medal around her neck and took pictures. And she looked so freaking cute. So you can find those pictures on Facebook and on my Instagram. But they popped up on my feed. And she just looks ridiculously cute. All right, we got to talk about last week's podcast episode. So last week, we welcomed back to the show Ash Costello from New Year's Day, her second appearance on the podcast. I believe her first appearance was episode 126. This time around, the interview is actually getting a lot of press because Ash was talking about stuff that she doesn't normally talk about in interviews. She was talking about personal stuff, about divorce and pregnancy loss, about the pressures of being a woman in rock and roll, and about the band releasing their 5th studio album recently, Half Black Heart, and how she is taking control over the trajectory of the band. They've reunited with the original members, and she's like, you know what? We don't feel pressured to have to say yes to everything, that we are taking the approach of we're going to take the things that we really want to do. We're not going to run ourselves ragged. She got really candid and was really bummed out that the half hour that they had scheduled to talk to me went so fast. She was like, this has to be another episode. We need to do a part 2 of this interview. And so she's promising to come back. I'm hoping that we're going to get New Year's Day in New England at some point this year. So maybe her and I will get into MCHQ together, or I can go to her and we can record the rest of what turned out to be a pretty serious conversation. And it's something that, for people that listen to the podcast all the time, you guys hear me talk a lot about songwriting and touring and truck stops and Spinal Tap and inspiration and the music that people grew up listening to. But we've also had a lot of serious moments. The Morgan Rose from Sevendust episode, which happened early on in the pandemic, was really, really personal, talking about mental health struggles and addiction. And for Ash Costello to talk about why the band last summer had to drop off festival shows because she had a miscarriage. Nobody knew why she dropped off of those festival shows until she talked about it on last week's podcast episode. And so it's hitting music blogs and music magazine articles now because she's like, this is a woman's podcast. It's hosted by a girl. And so I feel comfortable talking about it, which I was really honored that she felt comfortable enough to talk about something so personal. And I got pretty personal with her in turn. So if you haven't listened to last week's podcast episode, it's episode 201 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, available everywhere you listen to your podcast. So 201, that was last week, featuring Ash Costello. Who was on the podcast this week? A returning guest. He was on episode 186, which feels like yesterday, but it was actually around the holidays. Tim Montana's The Devil You Know. That song just kind of took off up the charts. He didn't have an album to talk about. He just had a big hit song, and he got added to Stain's Tailgate Tour and got added to the lineup of the big gig. So I was like, I want to talk to him. We hit it off. He's such a funny guy. He's really, really cool, an open book, charismatic. Since he was on episode 186, he went into business and purchased the Wise River Club in Montana with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, who he wrote This Beard's Here to Party, which turned out to be the theme song of the Boston Red Sox back in 2013, which of course was the year of the marathon bombing and the year they won the World Series. And now Tim Montana has announced that he has got his debut rock album coming out called Savage. The title track has been released, and he's got a lot to talk about. So he was like, I want to come back on the show. And I was like, hell yes. I want you to come back on the show before you come to town so that we can talk about the tour. And he's like, you know, I can't wait to meet you. I've had him on the show a couple times now. Still haven't met him in person. And that's going to happen at the end of the month at the big gig and at the tailgate tour up in Portland, Maine. So Eric says Wednesday is like, there ain't shit going on here. I guess I got to say hi to mommy and her heathen followers. Yeah, basically, she's just, hold on. You guys need to see this. She's in her draw me like one of your French girls mode right now. She's just kind of chilling, right? Are you just chilling on the couch with all of your drinks? People are going to think you have a drinking problem Wednesday. They're going to think you have a drinking problem. You got your tropical summer drink there too with your little orange wedge, right? You're being a very good girl. You look so pretty, right? Are you being such a good girl? Yes. So Tim Montana is my guest this week on the podcast. He's just such a cool guy. I couldn't wait to have him back on the show. And I'm just really excited for the big gig and the tailgate tour. The album doesn't come out till July. But if you haven't heard the new song Savage yet, it's really, really good. One of the things we talked about in this week's episode is the difference in what he says is creative freedom when it comes to songwriting. He said on the countryside when he was in Nashville, it was a little bit more dictated, like, no, we want an album where you write songs about this or about that. And he said, when it comes to the rock side, he said, I feel so accepted talking about whatever it is that I want to talk about. And he's like, I tackle a lot of really deep stuff on this debut rock album, talking about, you know, his abusive childhood and addiction and a lot of the mental health struggles. That is something that the rock world is kind of leading the charge in the discussion. When you look at the conversation I just had with Ash Costello last week, when you hear the guys from Papa Roach or Shinedown or Corey Taylor from Slipknot and Stone Sour talking about mental health and getting help for that and prioritizing your mental health. There's a lot of rock artists that are kind of having discussions that I think a lot of other genres of music should be having. And the fact that it's the rock world doing it, I think is pretty badass. Melissa says she's chillaxing. Titanic reference. Thank you, Mr. Voorhees. I'm glad somebody got the Titanic reference, which, by the way, did you know that the anniversary of the Titanic was yesterday from 1912? I didn't know that and looked it up and was like, what? Yeah, it's pretty crazy. David said she gets that from watching you. Do you draw me like one of your French girls? Okay. What's up, Lisa? She says, hello, Wednesday. Red Sox are up 6-5, the top of the seventh. Thank you very much. The Bruins are on the board. It's 2-1 for the Bruins. Thank you guys for keeping me up to date on the scores. Appreciate that. Excuse me, sir, but I am disinclined to acquiesce to you and your request, says Eric. Yes. No. Let's see. Okay. So I told you guys who's on the podcast this week. So for anybody that's new to the podcast, I want to let you guys know that not only do you get the weekly episodes every Wednesday, and bonus episodes sometimes just kind of show up out of nowhere, but every Monday through Friday, you get what we call the situation report. The sit rep is around 5 minutes long, usually 6 or 7, and it gives you rock news, music headlines, entertainment updates, and it lets you know when concerts get announced, when tours get announced, when books are coming out, when albums are coming out. So there's always a lot of stuff in there. So the sit rep is Monday through Friday. Every Wednesday, you get the full length episode. Bonus episodes could come at any time. And if you want to listen to the podcast, you can do it in a bunch of different places. The easiest way, the one that takes the least technical knowledge, is to just go to mistresscarrie.com and click play on whatever episode you want to listen to. You can also go to my official YouTube. All of the new episodes get posted. I am still going back and uploading old episodes onto YouTube, but I'm almost caught up now. But it's audio only on YouTube, but they're all there. And then, of course, all of the popular podcast apps. You can hear all of the episodes of the podcast anywhere that you want to listen to the Mistress Carrie podcast. You can hear us. I don't know why all of a sudden I have been relegated to Canada. You can hear us in 149 countries. I was hoping that we would hit 150 countries by now, but alas, we have stalled at 149 countries. So we want to say thank you to everybody that's listened to the podcast in all 149 countries, and hopefully and counting. So we got to get episode 150. Or excuse me, we got to get country 150. We're on episode 202 of the podcast, plus all the bonus episodes. There's a lot of content on the podcast. If you're celebrating your birthday today, first of all, happy birthday. Second of all, you're sharing your birthday with Chance the Rapper, with Akon, with Selena, with Dave Perner from Soul Asylum, with Jerry Rafferty, Dusty Springfield, and Henry Mancini. So if today's your birthday, cheers to you. Happy birthday. Happy unbirthday, Keith. If you don't know why we say that, go to the dictionary on the Cocktails in the War Room page at mistresscarrie.com. And we have one more thing to celebrate. April 17th, which is tomorrow, is my 26th anniversary as a radio DJ. So tomorrow's my anniversary. So cheers, guys. Thank you for 26 amazing years. I started at AAF in 1991 as an intern, but started on the air on April 17th, 1998. So 26 years tomorrow. Thank you guys for having my back this whole time. Somebody just said, hold on, let me catch up with the comments. Let's see. Listening to the show tonight from the Gamia? I don't know what that means. Oh, from the game. Nice. Thank you. Let's see. It's Bill Belichick's birthday. Donna, I did not know that. Happy birthday to the hoodie today. I listen from a separate sub-Saharan country each week. Nobody believed me. Good luck to you, says Voorhees. Selena would have been 53, which is just crazy. And isn't the woman that got convicted of her murder supposed to get out of jail like next month? Yeah, we'll see about those Selena fans and how much time she's actually going to spend out of jail before. Carrie says, 26 years, congratulations. Oh my God, check your calendar, says Keith. Happy 26 years. Let's see. Everybody's saying happy anniversary. I was 13 when you started, says Bish. Do you feel old? Yeah, Bish, I feel old every day. Thanks a lot. Let's see. Eric says, are you friends with DJs from BCN? So this is an interesting question. The short answer is no. The rivalry was so bad back then that there was no way I was going to be friends with anybody. Now, Mike Shue, when he was in college, interned for the Big Mattress on BCN for like a summer or something. And so he knew some people from BCN. And then, he started working on the air at WAF and knew some people. I grew up with an axe to grind with BCN because I grew up in Leominster. And the DJs on BCN used to make fun of the kids that were like out in Worcester County. And so I grew up listening to AAF because the BCN DJs like didn't want to have anything to do with like the cow tipping kids that were out like Leominster way or whatever. When I started on the air, the first day or the second day that I was on the air on AAF, some of the DJs on BCN were pretty gnarly to me on the air, taking jabs at me, questioning how I got my job. And that really ground my gears from day one. And so I was motivated from the day I started on the air to be as vicious to them as possible until they went off the air. And I succeeded in that mission and drank a $300 bottle of champagne the day that happened. Obviously, as I've gotten older and mellowed out, no, I'm still not friends with anyone from BCN. So obviously I'm mellow, but not that mellow. So, but I've never really, I had met Mark Parento once years ago, had a run-in with him that was not pleasant. So I just, I get it that all of the stations I'm talking about now are gone. But there's just something, there's still a burr under the saddle, I think. I'm still a little salty. Let's see. So no, Eric, to answer your question, no. Maybe I'm just petty. I'm willing to admit that. Debbie says, I remember the WAF giraffe back in the day. I know the original WAF giraffe. He still has the costume, by the way. Let's see. Oh, Voorhees says Gambia is the sub-Saharan African country. Not a typo, not the game. How'd you do in your geography? I thought it was a typo. I thought someone was saying they were watching from the game. You guys have typos all the time in your comments, and I have to decipher. I thought that somebody just meant to type game, and it came up Gambia instead. I took geography. I remember listening to you when you started. Happy anniversary, says Brian. Thank you very much. Let's see. PJ says John Connolly killed it at the marathon. Yeah, we talked about it earlier. There's pictures up there. He absolutely killed it. We went out and had Italian food at the in the North End. He had the chicken parm, said it was really good. Took him to Mike's Pastry, got a lobster tail at Mike's Pastry, had the full Boston experience. Took him to the old North Church to do a little sightseeing, taught him about the Freedom Trail, took him to the Green Dragon, kind of walked him around that whole area. So that was pretty good. Let's see. Rob says, I remember the days you started on the air when I got my license, April of 98, and I've always listened to you ever since. Well, thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. Can we get you and Shu and Danielle back? We're all still friends. Me and Shu are on the Pike every day. Danielle has become a tour guide, does guided trips around the world. She just got back from Antarctica. She's going to South Africa on safari in like October. She's doing all kinds of cool stuff. Michael Cole says, gotta fly early morning. Good night, Mr. Cole. So those are the birthdays today. Let's burn through some music headlines today. There's a lot of stuff that just got announced today that I wasn't able to update on the show. Serj Tankian's memoir, Down with the System, comes out in just about a month. Pearl Jam's new album is debuting tonight, like right now in movie theaters around the world. The new album comes out on Friday. Unfortunately for them, it comes out the same day as the new Taylor Swift album. So I think anybody, and we'll go through all of the new releases coming out on Friday. Taylor Swift is going to be a force to be reckoned with come Friday. AC/DC's Power Trip Live European Tour is going to feature the Pretty Reckless. They sold 1.5 million tickets in 24 hours. And their management says that if the European tour goes well, that they could see the band out on the road for the next 2 to 3 years. So fingers crossed Europe goes well, and then we'll get an American tour. Cage the Elephant releasing Neon Pill coming up on May 19th. John Fogerty has announced he is hitting the road. Slash's blues album, Orgy of the Damned, is coming out May 17th. Killing Floor, the song is out now with Brian Johnson and Steven Tyler. He actually just released a Fleetwood Mac cover with Chris Stapleton, which is pretty cool as well if you haven't heard that one yet. Talking all about the legacy of Peter Green and, you know, that he's right up there with Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck and all of those guys. Shows at the TD Garden include Incubus, Weezer with Flaming Lips and Dinosaur Jr., Jelly Roll, 21 Pilots, Jeff Lynne's ELO, and the Black Keys. And the concert calendar continues to grow. There's just more and more shows getting announced all the time. We're just a couple of weeks away from the big gig at the DCU Center in Worcester. Silver Scream Con is headed to the DCU Center September 13th through the 15th. Iron Maiden is going to be taking over the DCU Center November 6th. Over the weekend, by the way, Bruce Dickinson's solo band wanted to play a couple shows at the Rainbow. And so they announced shows at the last minute, said tickets are only available at the box office. And Friday morning when tickets went on sale at the box office, the person selling the tickets in the box office was in fact Bruce Dickinson. He said that his solo band has been on tour rehearsals in North Hollywood and they just felt like going out and playing a couple of gigs. So they did. Starset's Immersion Tour is coming to Big Night Live. This is coming up in May. Big Night Live is the venue that they built as part of the new complex at the TD Garden. The Xfinity Center is just packed, and it's growing all the time. Everybody from Hardy to Alanis and Limp, Styx and Foreigner, the Doobie Brothers, ZZ Top and Lynyrd Skynyrd, 30 Seconds to Mars, Creed with Three Doors Down and Finger 11, Cage the Elephant, Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie, Korn. It's a very busy touring year. Not only, hello Wednesday, you're back. Not only at the Xfinity Center, but so many other venues. Mohegan Sun has got Greta Van Fleet August 2nd. Godsmack with Nothing More in Flat Black is going to be up at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion on July 25th and at the Main Savings Amphitheater on July 26th. Guys, I wanted to make sure I pointed this out to you. Record Store Day is this Saturday. There are hundreds of exclusive collectible vinyl releases that are coming out only in independently owned brick and mortar record stores. So go to recordstoreday.com, find a participating record store, and you can also check out hundreds of exclusive releases that are coming out. If you're a vinyl collector, Saturday this week, it's like heaven, Record Store Day. It's huge. The Leader Bank Pavilion's got I Prevail and Hailstorm. That's coming up July 16th. Slash on the Serpents Tour, August 1st. 311's Unity Tour with special guests AWOL Nation and Neon Trees, August 7th. And the Bush Loaded Greatest Hits Tour, August 24th. And that's going to be with Jerry Cantrell and Candlebox. So all of those tickets are on sale now. You can check the concert page in the event calendar at mistresscarrie.com to get all the details, all the links to get your tickets. Dead Poets Society, who's been on the podcast recently, are going to be at the Sinclair in Cambridge on May 6th. The Rolling Stones are going to be at Gillette on May 30th, sponsored by AARP. Metallica at Gillette Stadium August 2nd and 4th. I believe show number 1 is almost sold out. Show number 2, I believe there are still a few tickets left available. And the Fenway concert series this year is huge. Everybody from Hootie and the Blowfish and Collective Soul with the Bare Naked Ladies and Edwin McCain. The Foo Fighters sold it out. Blink-182 on July 23rd. Def Leppard and Journey with Heart. Green Day, the Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas sold out August 7th. And then Pearl Jam, of course, coming up in September. You're very lovey Wednesday. What's going on? Oh, you don't want me to pick you up. You just want me to sit here and pet you. That's what you want? Do you want to say hi to everyone again? Maybe people that tune into the show late that maybe didn't get to see you on the pug cam? Is that what you want to do? Huh? There we go. There we go. Do you want to say hi to everyone? Show them your beautiful little face. Say thank you for all the birthday wishes. I'm 6. Right? You a good girl? Do you want to have a drink? You want to have a drink? Glug, 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 glug. Glug, 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 glug. What? Why are you so sleepy? How come you're so tired? Huh? I guess she wants to just... Do you want to say hi to everyone? Say hi to everyone on Instagram and on Twitch and on Facebook and on YouTube. Say hi to everyone. They're over here. See them? Do you see them in the camera? No? Can we talk about concerts some more Wednesday? There's a lot of shows we got to talk about. All right. We talked about the Xfinity Center. We talked about the Leader Bank Pavilion. We talked about Dead Poets Society. We talked about Fenway. The Palladium. Queensryche and Armored Saint are going to be at the Palladium the same night as the big gig. The same night as Paper Cut and the after party at Off the Rails. So Worcester is going to be insane that night. Maylene and the Sons of Disaster are going to be at the Palladium on May 18th. And the NoFX finale tour is going to be at Campanelli Stadium in Brockton. That is coming up August 31st and September 1st. Let's see. The MGM Music Hall at Fenway. Judas Priest coming up fast, April 25th. The Crows sold out. That's April 28th. You guys know that Aerosmith rescheduled the Peace Out Farewell Tour. Black Crowes on all of the dates. There's 41 of them so far, and that includes New Year's Eve this year at the TD Garden, which I meant to talk about before. Bad Religion and Social D, Gary Clark Jr., Kings of Leon, and Sting. So lots of shows coming to the MGM Music Hall. Yes, Wednesday, I'm petting you. I'm actively petting you. You are so spoiled. House of Blues, Architects are going to be there on May 6th. Black Veil Brides on May 8th. Hatebreed with Carcass, Harm's Way, and Crypta. That's September 27th. And you can expect more shows at the House of Blues to get announced later this year as well. And coming up at the Paradise Rock Club, Keith Wallen on July 22nd. Keith Wallen, the guitarist from Breaking Benjamin, releasing his new solo album next month, Infinity Now. City Winery, Soto Beeler, they were just there last week. 10,000 Maniacs coming up on April 28th, and Hawthorne Heights is going to be there on May 6th. And at the stage at Suffolk Downs, one of the biggest shows of the summer. This is going to be huge. A day to remember the story so far and 4 years strong. Suffolk Downs has redone their whole staging area, turned it into an unbelievable live venue, and it's reopened, and it looks great. So you can go to the stage at Suffolk Downs, go to their website, go to their social media pages. You can check out the pictures and everything. It really looks nice. All right, new releases coming out on Friday. Ann Wilson from Heart releasing her new solo album, Rebel. Billy Morrison, who is the longtime rhythm guitarist for Billy Idol, is releasing his solo album called The Morrison Project. He's collaborating with everybody on this record. Ozzy Osbourne, Daryl McDaniels from Run DMC, Billy Idol, Corey Taylor. Everybody's on this thing. Bruce Springsteen releasing the best of Bruce Springsteen. Pearl Jam releasing their 12th studio album, Dark Matter. Pink Floyd releasing The Dark Side of the Moon, the remastered collector's edition. T-Bone Burnett releasing The Other Side, and all of those are going to be overshadowed because Taylor Swift is releasing the Tortured Poets Department, and that is all coming out this Friday. And then, of course, Record Store Day is the next day. All right, mail call this week. The only thing that we need to talk about this week is the thank you gift that I got from Kim Kerrigan and Kerrigan and Company. She sent me this rum, so I want to thank Kim Kerrigan. And she said it is made in Salem, which I thought was amazing. And it's Rumson's spiced rum. But you guys need to see the bottle logo. How freaking cool is that? So this was her thank you gift for being on Kerrigan and Company. And I thought it was really cool. And the fact that it is locally made, I thought was really cool. So thank you to Kim Kerrigan and Kerrigan and Company, the whole staff over there. Thank you for supporting the home base program. And thank you for my wonderful thank you gift. I appreciate it. I thought that was really nice. You can't have the Rum Wednesday. That's Mummy. Sorry. All right. Want to remind you guys about the new things that are up for grabs in the online Mistress Carrie store. The drumsticks are on the way. The pullover hoodies are on the way. The 3/4 sleeve black and gray jerseys are on the way. New in the store, the roll-up Mistress Carrie purple travel blanket, which is great for your saddlebags. It's great for traveling on an airplane. It's great to have in your car as emergency equipment. Great for picnics, great for the dog. And then also the new My Dad Says Mistress Carrie Rocks baby onesies that are available in time for Father's Day. They're available in sizes newborn to 24 months. The newborn comes in all gray. 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and 24 months come black and gray because these will match the 3/4 sleeve shirts. When we get them from Brian the T-shirt guy, I wanted an outfit that was going to match for baby and dad. And so they will match baby and dad. Gender non-specific, but I thought they were really cool. They have the new kind of more metal logo to them. These are all up in the online Mistress Carrie store, and all of this stuff is going to be up in the store by the end of the month. I am hoping to premiere the pullover hoodies and the black and gray 3/4 sleeve shirts at the big gig so you can buy them in person. Fingers crossed I'm going to get them in time. So hopefully. Yes, I know his birthday is on Sunday. Keith, you can't have a birthday and an unbirthday. So you get your unbirthday today, and then Sunday you get your actual birthday. I can't wish you a happy birthday on a Tuesday when your birthday's on Sunday. This is the unbirthday, not the birthday. Keith, you can't have two. Every day is your unbirthday. How many more unbirthdays do you need? But in all seriousness, happy birthday, Keith. Let's see. Hey, Honey Joan. Let's see. Tracy says he can have a birthday month. Tracy, do not enable Keith with all of his requests. Don't enable him. All right, if you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass on Patreon, I want to remind you that we're going to have a private live stream coming up at the end of the month. I just don't know when it's going to be yet, but I will let you know. You get exclusive concert ticket access. Right now, you have access to Judas Priest tickets at the MGM Music Hall, and you also have access to tickets to see Cage the Elephant at the Xfinity Center on August 22nd. You also find out who's going to be on the podcast before anybody else, so you can submit questions. You get merch discount codes. The blanket and onesie codes are available now. So if you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, you have access to those codes. You get travel blog updates when I'm traveling, early access to event tickets. So just go to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie, or just click the Patreon logo at mistresscarrie.com and get your Backstage Pass. And just a reminder of all of the places that you can find me online. You know where. You know the deal. They're all linked on the website. Just find me. You know where I'm at. Look for this logo. People keep trying to steal it. Thank you guys for tipping me off when people try to pretend that they're me. Please report them. You know my official accounts. They're all right here. The podcast has official accounts. If they're not these accounts, they're not really me. So report them, or at least let me know so I can report them. Especially if they're stealing my artwork, let me know. And I appreciate it when you guys do that. Brett wants to know, am I going to the fundraiser in Milford on Saturday? I don't know yet. Things have been a little crazy the last couple of weeks with the last minute kind of emergency trip to California and having guests at the house. It's just, we've had a lot going on. So wish my son Cody a happy birthday, says Rob. How old is Cody? Happy birthday, Cody. Melissa says, tomorrow your official Mistress Carrie Day in Boston. So my 20th anniversary, which was 6 years ago, by the way, which was 2018, was officially Mistress Carrie Day in Boston. So tomorrow is Mistress Carrie Day in Boston. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Are people really faking your work and they're not faking the podcast, but they steal my artwork on social media. Most of the time, it's Instagram and Facebook. They try to steal my logos and try to put up fake accounts, and the podcast and stuff. No, they can't fake the podcast. That's kind of ridiculous. But, people do try to pass themselves off as me. They do it to bands all the time. They do it to actors and athletes all the time. So you've always got, and since Elon Musk allowed people to pay to get verified, it made it a lot harder. The verification check mark used to be so that you knew for real that it was that person. That when I got verified for my accounts, I had to send in identification to prove it was me. And once people started paying for check marks, he was like, this is to, it shouldn't just be for celebrities and stuff. But when you've got somebody that's got 15 million followers, people are going to try and pass themselves off. Jelly Roll, I can't even tell you how many fake Jelly Roll accounts I've seen. When people get really successful, people try to glob onto that. Then when people believe that those accounts are the real accounts and they start liking them and interacting with the content, which is all stolen from the original account, then they start receiving private messages like, oh, donate to this or give me money for that. And they start stealing money, and people give money thinking it's going to the celebrity or whoever that they think they're following. So losing those verification check marks on Twitter specifically had a lot of really negative ramifications, because there are so many fake accounts now, and it takes so much to get them taken down. And so when people are looking for specific people on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, if they don't see a check mark, they're like, well, is that the real person? That's why all of my real accounts are linked on my website. That's why. Abamba37 says, what can we do? You can just report fake accounts, or just, message me and say, hey, I think this person is trying to pass themselves off as you. But just to be clear, guys, because I get these questions a lot, when we do ticket giveaways here in the War Room, I will never private message you on your social media accounts telling you that you won something. I will never ask you for money. Anything that is legit for a fundraiser that I might be a part of, or anything like that, is going to be on my website, is going to be on my official socials. If I'm, passing around stuff recently, I posted about a friend's dog that was dog napped by her soon-to-be ex-husband. She was reunited with the dog. The police are involved. It was a whole crazy thing. There was a protection order that was issued. It'll all be on my official pages, but I'm never going to ask you for money. I'm never going to private message you on your Facebook page or anything like that. If you want to send me a direct message, send it to me through my website, or get a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass and send it to me through Patreon. What's the Twitch address? Rachel wants to know. It's at Mistress Carrie on Twitch. Did I not put it up here? Oh, I thought I did. Yeah, it's at Mistress Carrie on Twitch. Betty says, I try to report them, especially when they request to be your friend on Facebook. I'm never going to be reaching out to try and friend you on Facebook. The Mistress Carrie Facebook page is a public profile page. It's not a friend page. There is a difference between a regular friend page. You can only have 5,000 friends on Facebook, and that is requesting a friend and accepting a friend. The Mistress Carrie page, you just like it. It's a business page. They're very different functioning pages for that reason. Let's see. Drink, missing your Twitch info. You're right. You're right. Fine. Typo. I will fix it. The only money you'll take is in a fund to create to get Keith pants. Fact. I don't understand how some people are so gullible because sometimes the fake accounts are really convincing. Sometimes they watch videos and stuff and they reference like real stuff. It's kind of crazy. So what is Twitch? Jessica wants to know. It's a streaming platform. We stream Cocktails in the War Room on Twitch now. A lot of people do live gaming on Twitch, which you can also be part of. It's just another way for people to watch the show if they want to watch it that way. But if you're happy on YouTube, happy on Facebook, happy on Instagram, stay put. And then, of course, the episodes always get hosted on YouTube and posted on mistresscarrie.com if you don't watch the War Room live and you want to watch it later. So there you go, guys. All right, check out the new episode 13 of Kerrigan and Company. It's in my blog at mistresscarrie.com. I will see you guys next week. And of course, don't forget Tuesday the 30th, we're taking the night off from the War Room. I'll be up in Portland, Maine that night. And we'll pick it up the week after. New episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast going live at midnight tonight. Speaking of the Tailgate Tour, it's going to be Tim, Montana. It's a really good episode. Tim and I talk about a lot, including getting chased by an elk and a lot of details on his Wise River Club up in Montana that he has with Billy Gibbons. So if you're a Tim Montana fan, I think you're really, really, really going to like this episode. Even if you don't know who he is, definitely check out his music. It may be for you, may not, but at least give him a try. He's a really up-and-coming artist in the rock world, and I think you're really going to like him. New episode goes live at midnight, episode 202. All right, guys. I will see you next week. Thank you for hanging out with me in the War Room. Melissa says, peace, love, rock and roll. See you on the flip side. Donna says, good night, Wednesday and family. Sox are ahead 6-5 in the 9th. Yes. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Good night. Congratulations to all the runners.